You are watching the press preview, a first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. It's time to see what's making the headlines with the Daily Mirror's associate editor, Kevin Maguire, and the Daily Mail columnist, Amanda Plattel. They'll be with us from now until just before midnight. So let's see what's on some of those front pages for you now. Well, the growing humanitarian crisis in Gaza leads The Guardian with fears that fuel supplies there are starting to run out. While here at home, the Mail reports that Labour is tearing itself apart over Sir Keir Starmer's decision on who to back in the conflict. The Metro leads with the 13 life sentences given to a paedophile police officer who sexually blackmailed 210 girls by posing as a 14-year-old on the internet. The Mirror reports that one of the killers of James Bulger is to have a secret parole hearing next month because of fears that holding it in public would damage his mental health. The Financial Times reports that turmoil in the US bond markets is forcing American companies to delay their plans for borrowing funds to invest. The Sun has news of an air rage drama on a flight carrying singer Ed Sheeran. And the Daily Star reignites the old debate about astrology, whether it's a real science and whether the stars and planets really do influence people's lives. Let us know what you think. A reminder that by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you watch us. And we are joined tonight by Kevin Maguire and Amanda Plattel. Welcome again to both of you. Let's start with the Israel-Hamas war, as is still on all of the front pages and still raging on. The Guardian speaking about fears growing for the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza. Kevin.
Yeah, in the real world, away from star signs, it's really grim in Israel and Gaza at the moment. And the Guardian's quoting Oxfam saying Israel's using starvation as a weapon. Only 2% of the usual food supplies actually getting through. The United Nations warning that fuel is about to run out, which means hospitals, bakeries and water pumps won't work. 600,000 people displaced. Latest death toll from the Hamas-controlled Health Authority is 6,500. UNICEF say 2,360 children are amongst the dead there. And The Guardian also says the ground invasion in part has been postponed, according to the Wall Street Journal, because the US wants to get in place a defensive missile system to protect its own troops and bases and weapons should the conflict spread. It's absolutely incredibly grim. That's what it is. It's just utterly grim and it's totally dispiriting.
And Amanda, the very worrying thing is that relief efforts into Gaza, according to the humanitarian agencies, they're saying that they could be forced to stop completely.
I know. Look, it is just appalling. As you've just mentioned, Kevin, you know, that children are living on rations if they can get them. They haven't got clean water. They're being used as human shields for Hamas, and they're the ones who are really, really suffering. But I was watching something on Sky earlier today, one of your experts who's had some satellite pictures, and they were taken over Gaza, and it was supposed to be depicting 12 huge tanks full of fuel. And it was estimated that it's got 500,000 litres of fuel in there. But that's for Hamas. That's not for the Gazan people. And there are a number of people now, and your expert said, you know, the perceived wisdom is that this was a satellite picture. It identifies with all signs that this is a huge amount of fuel that is right there, but Hamas will not let the people use it.
Yeah, to collectively punish a population like this is a war crime, unquestionably. The Guardian has another war crime on its front page with these are mourners at the funeral of a British-Israeli woman who was murdered with her two daughters by Hamas in an appalling, barbarous act on October the 17th. 1,400 people slaughtered. Biggest mass killing of Jewish people since the Holocaust. But you've got now, on both sides of the border, you've got unspeakable acts. Innocent people are dying.
So that story you pointed out to me about the children, the Palestinian children, writing on their hands.
Yeah, well, that's in the Metro. In Gaza, children are writing their names on their arms because they fear they're going to be killed and won't be able to be identified.
Or putting like identity bracelets.
Yeah.
But then, Kevin, you go to that is just so awful. But then you go to the bodies that they're still trying to identify. The forensic scientists still trying to identify in Israel. And this quote today, which has got to be, it's one of those ones which it just stops you breathing. He says, babies are the hardest to identify because they've got no teeth. And it just again and again, children writing their names on their arms, babies not being able to be identified. It's
children are children, women are women, men are men, innocents are innocents, whether you're Israeli or whether you're Palestinian, and you can't justify in any way other than to massively condemn what Hamas did to the Israelis. But you see now dropping that number of missiles and bombs in an area like that and creating a siege, stopping adequate supplies of food, water, medical equipment and fuel going is anything other than barbaric. There's no other description for the
loss of innocent human life is desperately sad on
and those
sides.
children, even the ones who survive, you imagine what their lives will be like, what their traumas will be like, never having to know what it's to sleep safe in your bed on either side of the war. You know, growing up, losing your parents, losing your siblings, your family, thinking that this kind of menace and is part of your life. I mean, it's a lifelong sentence.
Just going back to the humanitarian crisis and the fact that fuel can't get in, the Israelis are pointing to the fact that Hamas does have fuel and they are committing this crime against their own people by not releasing.
There is a truth in that, an absolute truth in that, but there's also a truth now that the Israelis are committing international crimes by killing so many civilians. You just can't escape. I know the Israelis and supporters don't like to hear that, but that is what is happening. And
but you also have the other side of the fuel of the Israelis not allowing the fuel to come in with the aid because they believe it will go straight to Hamas. So it is so complicated. And Hamas could actually get those hospitals working right now if they freed up the fuel that they've got.
No, if you're a Palestinian civilian, you're caught between Hamas and the Israelis. The Israeli Defence Forces, the Israeli military and the politicians who authorise it.
Yes, and the innocent. So we know that already, I think, about 6 hospitals have completely shut down already. And the call now is that aid has to get in now. There can't be any further delay. Let's have a look at this story as pertains to Sir Keir Starmer, and he's in a bit of a damage control situation within his own party over his comments in an interview.
He is, and he's now subsequently called for a humanitarian pause, a ceasefire effectively, to get that aid in, because in an interview on LBC Radio, he appeared to... Or he actually said, but he now claimed he said no, he said it. No, but
it's viral.
Well, I've heard it. You don't need the transcript. He said it was Israel had the right to stop food and water going in. They do not. Now he subsequently claimed several days later, after he was under fire for it, that he was answering another question. But nevertheless, he's being pushed by MPs, not all of them Muslim, but some of them Muslim, other MPs who just think, and some of them are traditional supporters of Israel, but just feel this is going too far in what's happening to the Palestinians in Gaza. Well, you've got to have that humanitarian pause to get aid in, otherwise people are going to starve
with the politics
and die of thirst as well as being blown to bits.
With the politics of it, for your party...
It's not my party, I'm not a member.
Oh, come on. Are you not a Labour supporter?
I'm not a member. I'm not a member either.
Yeah. The politics of it for the Labour Party are that Keir Starmer spent 3 years trying to detoxify it from its anti-Semitism. It's always a stink that hung in the background, with even Corbyn standing up in Parliament last week supporting the Palestinians. And he has worked so hard to do this. I think for a moment he was just blinded by that thing. What am I going to say? I am, and he's caught with one of the cleverest interviewers in the world.
Some of his colleagues think that being wary of long Corbyn on the issue of Palestine and the stain of anti-Semitism, plus the horror at what happened on October the 7th, destabilised his response, and he got it wrong. It's, yes,
and do you
back
think
Israel as an ally, but you cannot give anyone a blank cheque just to bomb.
Do you
so
think
many
that he should row back from that now and simply apologise?
Well, yeah, it might have been easier and said, did he really mean it at the time? Or was he trying to avoid answering other questions? So do you apologise or do you explain and move on?
But then he doubles up on that gutlessness in PMQs today and Prime Minister's questions, where he did not ask a single one of the 6 questions about the conflict. And, you know, I'm sorry, and talking about, you know, Sarah from Solihull and somebody else when you've got, you know...
Yeah, but no. Those questions on the cost of living and the impact on people in Britain were perfectly legitimate. However, you get 6 questions, so you could split them.
Ask a single one.
You could do 2 and 4, 3 and 3. You can ask about Palestine, Hamas, Gaza, Israel in one set of questions, sit down and get up later and then come back on a complete separate subject, or you can just run the 2 in. I noticed, I tweeted about it, that he had all 6 questions on the cost of living, which is perfectly legit to ask about the cost of living. You know, it's a big Daily Mail readers.
I do not
you think he was steering
I thought
trouble as he saw it.
I watched it, and I was just thinking, there's got to be a question. You cannot live the biggest humanitarian crisis in our lifetimes that affects so many of the West, not just the East, not just the East. And he bottled it.
I think he dodged it today, yeah.
He bottled it.
Question.
Welcome back. You are watching the press preview. Still with me, Kevin Maguire and Amanda Platel. Let's delve into this story on the front page of the FT. And this is the news that the Information Commissioner Office has found that the former NatWest Chief Executive, Allison Rose, twice breached the data protection laws when she spoke to a journalist about Nigel Farage's account. Who wants to start on this? Amanda?
It's just incredible, isn't it? In its dame. I don't know why the Financial Times won't put a proper title in. What's she up for? She's in line for, what is it? It's £2.4 million payoff. She has broken all the rules. She should be... If we did that in our jobs, Julie, if you did that in your job, we'd be shown the door. And it wouldn't be revolving. We wouldn't get a penny payout because we'd have breached all of our codes of conduct. And she has done that, and it was a purely politically motivated, let's get Nigel Farage campaign.
Although
allegedly.
Yeah, there was an inquiry.
Sorry, allegedly.
There was an inquiry which found that wasn't the case. Although once you read the statement about how they just basically say he was scuzzy, you'd have found that very surprising.
And they were joking with each other about how they...
Getting over how man of the people, anti-establishment Nigel Farage was so desperate to keep a Coutts bank account. Just get over that. I mean, everyone should be able to have a bank account. Look, you might not agree with him, you might agree with him, but he's legal and everything. He should be able to have a bank account where he wants. I'm not sure about that. But nevertheless, if he wants a bank account...
After that happened, I closed my entire NatWest bank account.
I went in... say you closed your Coutts account.
There's no way Amanda would do that.
Like they'd have me.
Have you still got that? Have you still got a square chequebook?
I do have a chequebook, but it's an old-fashioned one.
A Coutts one?
No, I've never had a Coutts one. And I had great pleasure in going and saying, I'm closing my account on the basis of what you've done to Nigel Farage. And they said, do you want the £83 in cash or a cheque? True story.
So we still don't know whether she will receive the 2.4 million.
Yeah, there's going to be no action taken against her because she quit, and NatWest, which I think is probably right. But does she get the money? Of course she'll get the money. She quit. Otherwise, there'll be a lengthy legal battle.
Well...
No, she made a mistake. She's paid a high price for it.
No, she hasn't paid a high price. A high price would be the 2.4 million that she was hoping to get in bonuses.
She won't get it next year or the year after.
She's ended her career that she had since leaving university. That's not a high price.
Seriously? I mean, let's not stick up for her because she's a woman. I mean, No, I'm not saying you're doing that for a second.
No, I
apologise. I did not imply that. I just think they should play,
I hope you're not having a go at her because she's a woman.
OK, I just think she has broken the rules. And they're very important rules. The privacy of your banking is something... I didn't even know how much my dad earned until I was about 35 years old. we're entitled to privacy about these things. And she blew it.
Yeah,
all over a national newspaper.
But she didn't say he had £21,438.92 in. She said these are the rules, and he doesn't comply with the rules. No. She erred, and she had to go. That I get. But I think, look, it wasn't a bank robbery. I mean, I just think the punishment should fit the crime. She broke it, she's lost a job, she'll get a payoff, but she won't get that money next year, the year after that, or the year on.
So you agree? You both agree that she was wrong? Yes.
Yes.
That's the last thing we are agreeing on.
Agree. Let's,
You can get an agreement like that. If you don't mind going to the Middle East, give it a go.
Let's end with Mystic Mugs. The front page of the Daily Star. Yeah, a bit of a gear change and a bit of light relief, I guess. What do you think of this story?
I don't think it's light relief at all. I think it's appalling. I mean, they're basically saying to the millions and millions of believers that it's all a load of mug. We're all mugs if we believe it.
Right, in star signs.
Sorry?
In star
signs.
If we
believe our star signs. And it says absolutely no influence on people's behaviour. And I just think this is shocking. I mean, I read my...
Do you believe star signs?
I think they're indicative.
You know that...
They're indicative of being able to sit down in the morning and think, you know, OK, I'm going to meet a tall, dark Capricorn. I thought, oh, no, that was my ex-husband. That's out of date. I'm reading the wrong year. No, Jack, what are you?
All right, hang on. If you believe this, you know that 87 quid you got from the NatWest, give it to me and I'll sell you the River Weir. There we are. All right. If you believe star signs.
Answer the question.
What star sign are you?
I'm a Virgo, which is always a bit embarrassing.
What are you, Amanda?
I'm a Scorpio.
Ooh.
Loyal. Loyal.
Yeah,
sharp tempers.
And occasionally. And
a killer, basically.
And loyal.
Killer.
OK, I think we'll go out on the loyal, shall we? Kevin and Amanda, thank you very much.